He was in the US. Came back. He's in Nagpur.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And, good evening, everybody. We are about to start, and let me just upload my presentation, and then I'll.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Yashwant Patil. Yashwant Patil is the president
Sir,
of the COMAD International Association, and I'm the national president. So I think he was in US, he came back after he's in Nagpur, so he's joining us. Anyway, now I think this is a monthly program on behalf of the DCCC Center Climate Change and Commonwealth Countries Health and Disability Organization India chapter and Lakeside Education Trust. We have been doing this program once a month every Thursday with the people of certain stature. We call them health related issue we discuss, and we link between the scientists and doctors and society together to propagate our knowledge for social cause. So to welcome the gathering in the absence of our chairman, Dr. S.K. Satish, and we have with us Professor J. Srinivasan. I just want to highlight Srinivasan. Srinivasan is a graduate from the IIT Madras in 1969, and he did his MS in the State University in New York and a PhD Stanford University. And he's the founder of the DCCC Center Climate Change and the past chairman from 2009 to 2016. And also a emeritus distinguished professor of DCCC Climate till date. And he's the honorary professor, Center of Atmosphere and Oceanic Studies, Indian University of Science till date. He's the nephew of late Nobel laureate Sir C.V. Raman. And what I'm trying to say, he's a man of certain values. What we are talking about, reduce the carbon dioxide, climate change, and all this thing, carbon footprint. The man practices. He walks 3 kilometers from the house to here to there. He's been practicing it. And man with certain values and always care for what is right, and also encourage the youngsters. And also such a way he comments on that one so that we get an answer to that. And this is make us so happy to have him over here. And we are grateful, sir, and to have you here. And please come and welcome the gathering, sir.
Good afternoon. On behalf of S.K. Satish, Chairman, Division Center for Climate Change, I welcome you all to this last Thursday seminar of DCCC organized by Dr. Paramesh. And normally every Thursday, last Thursday, we hear a medical doctor talk about health and environment. Today we have a unique guest, former judge of Supreme Court, Dr. Santosh Hegde, and he'll talk about, I would think, about legal environment, I'm sure. So it's a great occasion to listen to a legal luminary and well-known person. So I thank Dr. Paramesh for inviting him, and I want him to introduce the speaker.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whichever the part of the country, Commonwealth countries are there. And also I welcome our International President Yashwant Patil and all of you. And today's topic is one of the unique, as a matter of fact, because this month is the suicidal month. I want to discuss about the environmental, how makes people to commit suicide. As a Parmesh, certain values have going down somewhere along the line. I like to talk about it. In that context, I might add those things. And he said, all right, sir, please. So that's what he selected this topic. That's why we end up calling him. It is a great honor to have him here. As a matter of fact, to talk about the issues on the fall of the social values and its consequences in the current environment. Just to sensitize this issue, we have few data on the corruption. Now, the corruption is a form of dishonesty to acquire illicit benefits or abuse of power for one's personal gain. Corruption in health sector has a negative impact on patient and the morale of the healthcare, because health related issue, I'm focusing little thing only health related issue. It has been cropped in. As a matter of fact, we are contributing 4.6% of the carbon footprint. In addition to that, we are contributing this one also. And health system is particularly susceptible to corruption, to the fact large amount of resources are there, asymmetry in the information, complexity of the healthcare system, large number of actors are involved in this situation, healthcare issues, the globalized nature of the supply chain of drugs, devices, technology, and recent BMJ this month has published certain data why corruption in healthcare increase in India. We also know about it. The same fact. I, being the past president, Private Hospital Nursing Home Association, we have some data. In this one, they also agree with us. The commercialization of medical education with the donations is the #1 contributing factor, followed by drug industries freebies for the professionals, and medical ethics in medical curriculum had not been taught. And public health embezzlement of the public funds cripples the national rural health program. That's what we are propagating it. Cash interviews for referrals. So incentives are given to the referrals. Business corporate sectors taking over the running the hospital with competition. 10 most corrupt countries in the world in 2021. What are those countries? This is based on the corruption index, 0 to 1 to 100. 1 is the greatest and 1 is the highest, 100 is the best. Taking that context, the most 10 corrupt countries in the world are Iraq, Colombia, Mexico, Russia, Guatemala, Kazakhstan, Lebanon, El Salvador, Azerbaijan. And the least corrupt countries, there are no country free from corruption. Least corruption countries as of 2022, this month, is New Zealand, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Singapore. So they are nearly about 80 marks, not 100 marks. And especially Iraq has got only 11, highest corrupt country in the world. Where do we stand, India? We are number 40 in between. So having this highlighted, the other areas also, there are a lot of corruption. To talk about these issues, we have with us Nadoza Dr. Justice Santosh Hegde. You might have wondered what is Nadoza is using that word. Nadoza is a teacher of the land given by the Kannada University in Hampi. And this is word started none other than Pampa, the greatest poet ever had it, Pampa chapter. The Pampa makes me happy to mention about when we started the Kannada Association in USA. I'm one of the founder member of that and University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. We started at Pampa chapter and Ranna chapter. Then we merged all of them as Akka Association. And also the Nadoza Justice obtained his degree in BSc and BL and enrolled as an advocate in the year 1966. He is designated as a senior advocate 1984, worked as an advocate general of Karnataka from 1984 to 1988, worked for the additional solicitor general of India from 1989 to 1990, worked as solicitor general from 1998 to 99, appointed directly the judge of Supreme Court of India from 1999 to 2005, appointed as chairman of the Telecom Dispute Settlement Appellate Tribunal from 2005 to 2006, appointed as Lokayukta of Karnataka from 2006 to 2011. He got various awards conferred, honorary doctorate from University of Mangalore, Karnataka Open University, Tumkur University, Karnataka Law University, Alliance University, and Nadoza from Hampi Kannada University. That's what is a PhD doctor. Awards and Man of the Year by the Times of India for the 2 years successive 2010 and 2011, and Vijay Karnataka for the 2006 and 2010, NDTV Indian of the Year 2010, Anti-Corruption Crusader named, and also Rotary honored him with the Paul Harris Fellow, and many awards with cash prize, all of which were donated to the public cause, including the sum of rupees 1 crore awarded by the Sitaram Jindal Foundation of Bangalore, which is its entity, with its entirety was donated to the Indian Army Welfare Fund. That is Dr. Justice Santosh Hegde. Sir, over to you. We'd love to hear you.
Professor Srinivasan, Dr. Paramesh, other dignitaries present here, most importantly, my dear students. I would like to deviate from my subject, which I have decided to speak something about the honorary doctorate in Nadojas, which is being very freely used by the people who get it now. Sometimes we purchase it. There's a judgment of the Supreme Court in 1996 where grant of Padma Shri to Bharat Ratna was questioned before the Supreme Court Constitutional Bench, and I was appointed as one of the amicus curiae to argue that case, where the question was under Article 18 of the Constitution of India, when the government of India abolished all the awards given by the foreign countries when it was under the rule of British. How come you have decided to give such titles to Indians when we have adopted democracy as the policy of this political system of this government? Supreme Court found it extremely difficult to accept that the government of India could award a title like Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and Bharat Ratna. Ultimately, hearing the case, they said it is not a title. He who receives that award cannot use it before this name. It can be used after the name, saying a Padma Shri awardee or a Bharat Ratna awardee. It also said similarly, the doctorates that are being given by the university cannot be used as a title, that is Dr. So-and-so, and can be used only when educational title, the qualification is acquired like PhD and professional doctors, except those who are serving in the Indian Army who can carry their title even after retirement, is what they say. Interpreting that, it's my opinion that apart from army titles and academically acquired doctorates, nobody else can use it before the name. Today, you find any Tom, Dick, and Harry who can manage to get in their doctorate from university. I got 5 of them. And I also got one of the Nadojas that you just referred to me as and all. It can't be used, and the judgment says if it is used, that award should be withdrawn, which includes Bharat Ratna, Padma Vibhushan, and Padma Shri. But I know of a past president who used this title after the judgment also, but nobody's taking any action. So much so, if you see my letterpad or my visiting card, I don't even put justice anymore, because that's the law of the land. And Article 141 of the Constitution of India, judgment of the Supreme Court is law of the land. Now, coming to the topic of the evening, I know this normal Thursday meetings of US is in regard to protection of environment. But when Dr. Parmesh contacted me, I said, love to come, but I don't know much about environmental protection because I am in a different field altogether, maybe contributing more towards destruction of the environment. So I may not be a very suitable person to address this gathering, but I'd love to address, because after working in the institution of Lokayukta, I realized till then I was a frog in the mill. I did not know the sufferings of the people. I was comfortable, and I thought most of the people in the world were comfortable. After coming to the institution of Lokayukta, I saw so much of sufferings of the people. That too from the hands of an institution created under the Constitution of India to serve the people, called the government. I'm not a politician, never been one. I'm not one today. As a matter of fact, in my mining report, I've named 3 chief ministers of Karnataka for receiving illegal gratification and making money out of illegal mining. One from Congress, one from JDS, one from BJP. So I'm not a politician. My views are not controlled by any political view. It's just of my experience. And I was wondering, what could I contribute to the society to help or to prevent further damage to the society? Then I realized it can't be abolished. It's a thing which is a nonsense to say that we will abolish corruption. According to me, the Creator himself created a disease in a man called greed, which is the only cause for corruption. Only thing you can do is you can reduce it, and reduce it to such an extent as it was prevailing in these countries in the pre-50s, to such an extent it would not damage the economy of this country. How do you do it? Greed has no treatment. There's no medical treatment. There's no surgery, no vaccination. It can't be controlled by law. People are not afraid of law. There are many reasons. One of them is ultimately when I'm convicted, a person is convicted by the Supreme Court, it's about 50, 55 years after the first FIR is filed. Who is afraid of it? If I can make millions today, I'll make millions. If I have to go to jail after 50 years when I'm 80, 90 years old, let's see what will happen. That is the prevailing attitude today. And to give you one example, that this is the corruption is not a national issue only, it's an international issue. Dr. Parmesh read out some of the most corrupt countries on item 1 to 10. There, the India's name is not there, yeah. But then we are a country who has, according to me, has suffered tremendously because of the greed amongst the people here. In 2016, I studied an organization called Transparency International, a German-based organization, which also makes or audits the performance of honesty performance of various international countries, said China was more corrupt than India in 2016. And in China, punishment for corruption is death sentence. In India, it's only 7 years. But still they're more corrupt than we are. So this is a disease which can never be controlled by any known way out, like medicine or law. And the only way, I'm not a doctor, I never made any research on this, but I did think about it, and I found out the only way you can sort of change the society is by persuading the people of this country to inculcate just two human values. One is contentment in life, what we call in vernacular as tripti. The other is humanism. Our elders, wanting peace in the society, created many, or established many values, which once upon a time was inculcated by a large section of the population. But things have changed very much now. I have seen from very close quarters the disappearance of these two values. My dear students, especially you can change it. People of my age, I have my own doubt about that, because we are responsible for bringing it to this level. Corruption was there in 1800, 1900 also. But it has reached such a stage where it cannot survive if it keeps continuing to grow the rate at which it is growing. Let me give you some examples of growth of corruption or the greed in this country. In the decade of 50s, there was a scam called Jeep scam. Country lost 52 lakhs of rupees in importing Jeep vehicles from Great Britain for our soldiers. I can't mention all the scams because of the want of time. And let me go by decades. In the decade of 60s, there was a scam called Bofors, importing Bofors gun for Indian soldiers. Country lost 64 crores of rupees. In 70s, there was a scam called Commonwealth Games. Country lost 70,000 crores of rupees. This is not my figure. This is a figure given to Government of India after investigation by a constitutional authority called the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. All the figures are created, found out by him and audited by him and given to the Government of India. In the decade of 80s, there was 2G scam. 90s, there was Colgate scam. 2G scam, country lost 1,76,000 crores of rupees. Colgate, country lost 1,80,000 crores of rupees. Post 2000, Rafael, over 2 lakh crores have been lost. Every year, it's going on like this. I'm only mentioning one corruption which has come to the public domain once in 10 years. Every year, hundreds of corruption instances are there. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you think of development? Is it possible? For example, I studied the budget of state of Karnataka for 2016. For 3.5 crores of people, 6.5 crores of people of Karnataka, for 1 year, the budget for that year was only 1,60,000 crores. In one scam, you lose 2 lakh crores, 1,86,000, 1,80,000, 1,76,000, 70,000 crores like that you lose. What is the development we are talking about? We are reading in the newspapers today. The opposition calls the ruling party, yours is a 40% government. The ruling party doesn't deny it. They say, well, how much was it during your time? Only 10%. Whose money are you dealing with? How can there be development in any country if so much of money is siphoned off and you can't control it? And tell me which profession is free from corruption? Very often when I speak about corruption, they say, sir, how much is the corruption in the judiciary? Well, it can't be anything less than what is outside. Why? Because where do we come from, we judges? We don't come from heaven. We come from this society. The same society from which everybody else comes. Maybe a politician, could be an executive, could be anybody else. The only way out, I'm addressing the youth of this, ladies and gentlemen and youth, to change ourselves. To inculcate these two values, we could change and we could bring peace and solidarity in the society. Let me try to briefly analyze the effect of this growth of disease in the society, how it has affected the various constitutional organs. In 1946, our elders created a body called the Constitution body to draft a constitution called Constitutional Assembly. And the first thing that came up for discussion in that assembly was, after independence, what type of a political system that this country should adopt. Our elders argued, we Indians were never ever independent. We were under the rules of Rajas, Maharajas, Zamindars. They made now that we're going to become independent, let's have a political system by which every Indian feels this governance is mine. It's by me. It's for me. And internationally, there were many political systems where there was monarchy, there was dictatorship, the ism-based politics, socialism, communism, and capitalism. Amongst them was a system called democracy. Meaning of democracy then was government of the people, by the people, for the people. People-centric it was. And our elders wanted that. They wanted the country to develop. They wanted the governance of the people, so that everybody can say, this development is because of me. That was the attitude of the Constituent Assembly at that point of time. Our present legislature is the successor to the Constituent Assembly. We send our representatives to those, it could be the parliament, could be the state legislature, panchayats and corporations, to administer us and not to govern us. There's a lot of difference between the two. What's happened? Take the parliament or the legislature. They work for 100 days in a year, maximum. What does the statistics say? Not even 50%, very often. The working is allowed to do. The ruling party presents a bill, opposition walks out, ruling party passes it with majority. What is the bill? What is the consequences of it on the people? This is not what our forefathers contemplated. They wanted the representatives of the people from various parts of the country to study that draft law and participate in the debate. That's not what's happening. No. Look at the attitude of the first pillar of the Constitution, the legislature. What do they really think of themselves? You all know. You must be reading in the papers. Just the other day, I read a thing. There's a lady who was with the minister in a function and begs that I want to cite and all these slaps. Are they the masters of this Constitution? Why is it happening? Because of the lack of values. In this particular case, lack of the second value called humanism. Take the executive. Creation of the executive. Our elders pleaded. They said, they are the future administrators of this country. We must have best of them. Let's choose the best of them, but let it not be the choice of us. Let there be an independent body. They created the Public Service Commissions. What is this commission? What does this word commission mean today? Few years back, the chairman of the Karnataka Public Service Commission was arrested for corruption. How much money has taken for each post? Recently, we read about an assistant sub-inspector's post, paying 40 lakhs of rupees for a post. This is the administration we have. Come to the judiciary. Who said there is no corruption in the judiciary? Where do they come from? They come from this society. So what do we do? Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, only way out is change ourselves. When I was young, if somebody was sent to jail in my village, my parents would tell me, don't go near that house. It was a punishment not by the court, but by the society. Not the person who committed the crime, but also his family. People were afraid of corruption. They stayed out. Today, what does the society think of this? Who does it respect? In my opinion, today's society respects only the rich and the powerful. That's why there's a competition. I must become rich. I must get powerful posts. How do you get it? Nobody bothers to find out. If you're rich, you're powerful, you're saluted by the society. What does the society do today? A person goes to jail, takes a bail, comes, and half of the city goes to receive him at the airport and the bus stands and other transport and thing, and garland them, not flower garlands, but apple garlands. Change the society. You can never live this. It's your future. My days are numbered. I want you all to understand the importance of changing yourself by inculcating just these two values. But who teaches you? When I was young, my parents told me the do's and don'ts of life. If I made a mistake, I was corporally punished. When I went to school, there was a subject called moral science, Niti Pata, which reiterated what my parents told me. So there was some sort of a acceptance of the values of the society of those days. Today, most of the parents, both of them are working. They go to work, and according to me, today work is a disease. It makes you want big promotions, big powerful posts. And to establish or get that, you bring the headache of the work home, you sit in the night and work in your laptop. Who talks to the youth and tell them what they should do, what they should not do? So where do they learn, the children? From iPhones? Understand the gravity of the prevailing situation. If you can inculcate these two values, I'm confident you can change. It will take time. Maybe you are in the period of transit. You may have to suffer, but for the sake of future, for the sake of your children, your grandchildren, please inculcate these two values. Now let me give you some examples of my experience, which has changed me. Changed in the sense I was not one of those public speakers. As a judge, especially, we don't speak outside the court. At least those days we never spoke outside the court. But after retirement, I saw so much of sufferings of the people. I thought the only way out to go out to the society and speak and make the youth change their views in this by inculcating these two values. That's why I've been to more than 1,600 educational institutions, leaving apart all other functions, including this one. I'm not counting it. I speak the same thing. There's no different version for it from the school or to the gathering like this. My dear student, in 2008, a couple came from a place called Bagalkot in North Karnataka with a 6-month-old child. Asked them, what's the problem? They said, sir, this child looks perfect, but it has no rectum, Gudadvaraya. The doctor in Bagalkot said, don't worry, it's just a growth over the anus. Take the child to a super specialty hospital. The pediatric surgeon will remove that obstruction. They believed the child and took the child to Hubli Medical College Hospital. The pediatric surgeon examined the child. Said, I'll do everything all right. It will cost you some money. Money is not expenses, money is bribe. Parent knew that they had to pay something, that was the public perception. So they took some money which they carried and kept it in his table. He counted that money and said, for this money, I'll make a hole near the rib cage from which the fecal matters will go out. Child has to wear a bag to collect the fecal matters throughout the life. Look at this doctor. He must have prayed to God, give me education, make me a doctor, make me a specialist. And he got a government job. Government hospital today, in my opinion, is meant for the poorest to the poor only. And he had a golden opportunity of giving a future to the child. His greed didn't allow him. I could have said, look, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what to do. I can't help you. But I couldn't. I asked my staff to take the child to Manipal Hospital in the old airport road where I was getting treated and begged of them to do the operation, saying we can't afford to pay the money. They did it. That child is today about 14 years old. She's in the 10th standard or something. Every year, the parents send me a photograph for a birthday and ask me to wish the child. Look at the feeling I have. What more do I want? Another example. Many of them are from hospitals because it touches the heart of the people who listen. That's why I choose them to place before you. In 2010, a gentleman came from Koppal district. He said, sir, my wife has delivered a girl child. So I said, what's wrong? No, sir, there's a scheme of the government of Karnataka called Bhagya Lakshmi. Under the scheme, a child born to a poor family, a female child born to a poor family is entitled for certain amounts up to the age of that child, certain age. So I went to the social welfare department. I said, I'm a poor man, and you have to give me this thing, my child the benefit. They said, where's the proof? Under that scheme, if a child is born in a government hospital, and if there is no evidence that the child is born to a rich person, that child is entitled as a piece of evidence for the scheme benefit. But child was not born according to them in the hospital. So I believed him. I sent an officer to investigate and give me the report. The report said the child's mother and her friend, accompanying person, walked 9 kilometers from their village to Koppal District Hospital for delivery because they knew that piece of evidence would fetch them there. But when they went to the hospital, staff asked for money first, then begged. Same thing, they gave little money. They were not satisfied. Get the balance of money. So she sent the accompanying person back to the village to get the money. Meantime, the staff said, don't sit here. Go outside and sit until the money comes. She had no way out. She walked out, sat in the bus stop opposite to the district hospital, government hospital. Before the money could come, she delivered a child in the bus stop. I investigated that on the basis of the report. I sent a report to the government of Karnataka using a concept called vicarious liability in law. Master is responsible for the mistakes of the servant. I said, there is proof that this lady came to the hospital for delivery. She was not allotted a bed. She was sent out to the hospital. She couldn't go further than go to the opposite bus stop and sit there, and she delivered the child in the bus stop. You are responsible for the payment, which is under the scheme for the mistake of the servants. They gave it. Look at this. What sort of a people are we? Do we have humanism in us? This is an issue. It raises every day, every minute. Not only in government hospitals, in private hospitals. There are cases where bodies are not released until the payment is made. 2011. Elderly lady, maybe my age, I'm 83 now, she's about 84, 85. I said, what's your problem? She said, sir, I have no income. One of my sons is working in Mumbai. He sends me 250 rupees by money order. The postman wants 10% of that. You don't give 10% under the P&T rules, Post and Telegraph rules. He puts an endorsement. Visited the house 3 times, address is not found. Send back to the sender. Money doesn't go to the sender. It gets siphoned off. Who will pursue this matter? Complaint. This lady can't do it. Son can't come all the way from there. Now, I had a problem. The postman belonged to the central government, not to the state government, and Karnataka Lokayukta did not have the jurisdiction to investigate. So I contacted a person who has the jurisdiction, the central government against the central government employees, an All India Service Police officer. He must have calculated 250 rupees, 10%, 25 rupees. He tells me, sir, 25 rupees case, sir. My officers are busy investigating crores and crores of scams. I have no officers. You have a police force. Why didn't you do it yourself? Look at this. There's a postman who, it is said, knows everything that happens in the locality where he's serving. He knows the rumors from this house he carries to the next house. He knew this lady is suffering. Still, he wanted his 10% from the postman, from the woman. Here's an All India Service officer. Look at the arrogance of power. I don't do 25 rupees cases. What do we do? I can't send this lady go to the court. I requested my police chief, please do something. 2 months later, that lady comes to me, crying, but not of sorrow, but happiness, tears of happiness. I said, what happened? Problem is solved. So I spoke to my police chief. Sir, these are everyday affair for us. You told me the problem. I sent an officer to the postman. He must have spoken to him in his language and settled the thing. What do you do? Tell me. Thousands of people every day suffer like this. One more before I conclude. In 2011 itself, a very senior Air Force officer from Hyderabad telephoned to me. I did not know him personally. He must have known me because by then I had become notorious enough to be known. So he called me, he said, Mr. Hegde, 3 days back, my older brother's 18-year-old daughter is killed in Bangalore in a road accident. Her body is kept in a Sarkari hospital. 3 days we kept an ambulance to bring the body to Hyderabad. Police are refusing to give on the ground postmortem is not done. Understand our sorrows. How many days did we wait for it? We have lost a young member of the family. Her last rites are not done. I said, I understood. I'll get back to you in about 2 to 3 hours. I went to the hospital. I met the superintendent. He said, It's impossible. I've sent 2 trained doctors in postmortem to the postmortem ward. Let's call them and find out. He sent a peon. One of them, they must have known Lokayak sitting there, guilty conscience. He put leave and went away. The other one comes, listen to his dialogue. He walks up to the superintendent and said, "What's the hurry, sir? Body is not decaying. It's in the freezer. Am I to examine the living patients first or examine the dead body?" And the doctor said, "Who asked you to go to the main building to treat the patients? You are to do the postmortem, and this hospital gets many bodies. How can you go there?" "No, sir. One relative of a patient came to me, said his relative is not getting proper treatment, so he wanted me to go and treat. So I went there. 3 days. So I said, 'Doctor, did you know this patient or his relative before?' He said, no, first time." I said, "I understood. There are 40, 50 doctors of different discipline in that main building. If the relative or the patient was not satisfied with the treatment with the one, they could have gone to another doctor there. But you tell us that without knowing who you are and all, they searched for you in the postmortem ward." "Okay, I understood. I'll sit here till the postmortem is done and the body is put in the ambulance and sent back." Ladies and gentlemen, if it is his own daughter, what would he have done? Is humanism confined to family affairs only? This is what the society is today. Where do we look forward to? For a change for better? My advice is look into yourself. If you can't change, don't expect others to change. You change. You change your children, your grandchildren. But you must change first. Then you can change the society. A change is definitely necessary. The way out is not the law, but changing ourselves. Just these 2 values, my dear students. Inculcate contentment. Contentment doesn't mean that once you get a degree or you get a job, I become a sannyasi, I don't want anything more. No. Everybody must have an ambition. Ambition to grow, ambition to become somebody big, ambition even to become rich. Legitimately earned wealth is no product of sin. Earn as much you can, but within the 4 corners of law. Don't steal it from somebody's pocket. Don't steal it from somebody's plate. Whenever you feel disappointed that I tried, I didn't succeed, don't sit down and remorse. Turn around. Look behind you. How many millions are there who have not reached what you have reached? If you can't reach them in front of you, it's gone up. Then be content with what you legitimately have. I have practiced it. I'm proud to say that. You may wonder what Professor Dr. Parmesh read, that one institution gave me ₹1 crore. I gave the entire money to the Indian Army. Why? Why should I say it? Because I know Bible says, let not the left hand know what the right hand gave. Very good thing. But a man like me who comes and preaches or teaches you this, that you must inculcate value. Do I have this value? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. I have only one house in the entire, not a house, an apartment in the entire world. That 1 crore could have added and got me another house. No. That's not the only award. I got dozens of it. Not 1 rupee I've kept it. I've given it to Tata Memorial Cancer Hospital, Jayadeva Institute of Cardiology, AIMS. I don't want. That's why I'm standing before you. And this is not me. 2000s address or something, the same thing. It comes in the newspaper. Nobody has questioned it. I'm prepared to prove what I am. And I'm very, very happy, very, very content. I know my speech is not going to reach everybody here, not even 10% probably. But then I believe it's my duty to share my experience and not to wait for result. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Subject is open for any questions, comments. Yes, sir. Identify yourself.
Yeah, you take this and hand it over to others who want to. You can ask any question, including personal question about myself. I will answer. I have nothing to hide. Yeah, go ahead.
I have Baroda, at the same time. So as you told that corruption is a problem from the societal level, it starts from the very beginning and goes to the top. Do you believe that the populism and the populist government that we are seeing today in the environment could be a solution to rectify such large-scale problems?
Well, I'm not very sure whether a popular or unpopular government is honest or dishonest. I personally feel a large section of the people in power today, it could be the bureaucratic power, it could be legislative power, it could be judicial power. There's a lot of corruption involved in it and all. Therefore, I don't want to choose and say, identify you are more corrupt than that, because I'm not going to, as I mentioned in regard to somebody's statement and all, if you steal an elephant, you are a thief. If you steal a aeroconet, you are still a thief and all. I believe in that concept, You see, you don't care what you are doing to another person by you are amassing wealth. Just imagine, recently I saw a photograph of West Bengal minister's house. His girlfriend's 2 apartments were raided by the ED or somebody. And in one, it is reported in one flat, they found 21 crores of rupees in cash lying there, which I saw the photograph in the thing. In another one, it was 29 crores. That's 50 crores of rupees. Now, what does it do to the economy of this country? That 50 crores of rupees is not in circulation. What would you buy with such black money? So you go for something, which is in the market very high valued and all, like diamonds, like gold, like a land, and the prices of that goes up. The reason is like this: if you have a property, if that property is worth 1 lakh, somebody who's got 10 crores of rupees want to buy that property, he'll offer you 10 lakhs for that because he doesn't care. The number doesn't matter. It's only the quantity of the notes he has in the house and to give it away. But what happens to the economy? The next neighboring property also becomes 10 lakhs thereafter. So inflation, this is one of the causes of inflation. And look at the sufferings, the examples that I gave you. What projects? You just see, the roads are constructed today. Tomorrow, that road is off. I have an example I've read about. It's the Church Street parallel to the South Mahatma Gandhi Road and all. But a year back or something and all, for 1 kilometer, they spent 17 crores of rupees. And one rain, it's washed off. So where is the question whether it is this government or that government or popular government? What is popular government doing? Free electricity, free water? Who pays for it ultimately? Somebody has to pay for it. It's not manufactured by the government. So that cost, who bears it? As it is, you don't have money for running the established thing like the proper hospitals, proper government schools and other things. Therefore, I don't think there is an exception to the rule of corruption and greed. No. It may be a small greed in quantity with one person. It could be a huge in another person. But everybody in power today, I won't say politics alone, those in power today, and people want power only to make money and not to serve. If you have humanism, if you think about your duty, then things will be different. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Hold it your mouth.
A topic which is usually being ignored is based on its So I had two questions that I have. First question is, in your career, seeing lots of events. I would say. According to you, when you compare your life, what are the good things that you have observed in the later half of your life? I mean, in the recent times, that I would say. And the second question is, so being such an influential person in the society or the government, I would say, how do you deal with the pressure from above? I mean, to say is, so there are a lot of bad apples around, and people are, trying to force you down as much as possible. So how do you deal with those circumstances?
It depends upon circumstances to circumstances. One thing I can tell you, one day people were working with me. They were all government servants on deputation to the Lokaयुktha about my mining inquiry. My officer sees 90 lorries being illegally transporting iron ore. One lorry can carry, if it's got 4 wheels at the back and 2 wheels in the front, which is the normal lorry you see, can carry 4.5 metric tons. There are multi-wheel vehicles are there. They're running up to 10 tires and 12 tires, 16 tires. They increase it. 4.5 metric ton lorry carries 10 tons minimum and all like that. As it goes on till 50 tons, 80 tons like that and all. So all those metric ton were seized and placed in a old port called Bilikere near Ankola in North Karnataka, learning to lakhs of tons and all. Now, 1 ton, metric ton of iron ore fetched the government of Karnataka 27 rupees. That 1 ton of 27 rupees was exported at that point of time from 6,500 to 7,000 rupees. Look at the cheating that was going on. Even in that overloaded metric tons, not even 27 rupees was paid. Okay, one day after a few months of seizure, my officer went there to check it. He didn't find a single grain there. And the port officer was given the custody of it, was asked what happened to it. He said, huge waves came from the sea, took all the iron ores into the sea. We knew it. India's biggest exporters, Karnataka's biggest mining companies were involved in stealing that. Going to lakhs and lakhs of tons of, rupees in that thing. Now, one minister from Karnataka visited Karwar, where one of my officers was investigating that case. He asked that officer to come and visit him at a particular place in Karwar. So my officer asked him, where are you staying, sir? He gave an address. So that officer said, I can't come because the owner of that building is involved in this case, and we have charge sheeted him. If I am seen in that building, then I'll be accused of something. So he insisted on coming in. My officer insisted on not going. Over the telephone, he was kept under suspension, my officer. He telephoned to me. I telephoned to the chief secretary. How can you keep him without even consulting me? Under suspension without consulting me. He said, it has happened, I can't withdraw it. Ask him to go to court. Then I said, you don't have to tell me. I know a little more about courts than you do. So I immediately resigned from the post. My resignation was sent to the governor. Governor didn't accept it. He kept it with him. I got a lot of pressure from various sources to withdraw. I said, if I can't protect my officer, I don't deserve to be in this chair. Then somebody from Delhi telephoned to somebody powerful in Karnataka, asked him to withdraw the resignation. Then I withdrew my resignation. That is my reaction, my dear friend. At any point of time, if I can't protect people who are honest enough and whose duty for me of me to protect, I don't want to be in power. So that's the way I dealt with it. Now, you asked me what is the experience that in regard to something nice that happened in the society, isn't it? Well, changes I've not seen, but I've seen actions of good officers, which is thrilling, and people who, in middle of the night, they used to go on raids in the mining areas, without even being afraid of the thing and all. I really, really thank those officers for doing a wonderful job. So also the doctors and others who have helped patients in trouble, gone beyond their duty, call of duty, I've seen many of them. It's not that the whole world is corrupt, and there are a large section of them are corrupt. I mean, honest also. But then they don't come into the picture. I've seen both sides of it, but then I've seen more of the wrong side than the right side. Okay.
So there are two questions and
Okay. Okay.
one is from Dr. Avinash. Sir, my question is in context of environment. I belong from a Kalahandi where I have been how Vedanta has destroyed environment and tribal livelihood. As an young person, how do you face the government and industry nexus in the future since popular movements are fresh? Thank you, sir.
I fully agree with the person who asked this question. This is the prevailing situation today. Now, only way out is if the superior officers do not take any action to go to the court of law. Court of law today is such an expensive thing and such time consuming. I'm really, really sorry. I have no answer to this question. What is the relief that he can go for? But then if you are capable of fighting corruption, at least publicly, then I think you should do that for the sake of the country, if not for your own problem with the thing. And I have no other answer because it is all pervasive, all over the thing is happening now. And there are many, many issues which don't have any solution whatsoever. But I think our aim should be to fight for it so that tomorrow will be better, if not today.
Thank you. Second question is it possible to record the proceedings of the CBI and the ED? If required, the courts can use it for evidence. This is from Francis J.
That depends upon whether that recording by a private source can be believed by the court or not. You can produce it before the court, and court may say prove it, yeah? Because otherwise you can create an evidence of this nature, you know. Therefore, it all depends upon the court's approach to the thing. If the court believes what you're recording is contrary to the ED's or income tax department, but the court can believe it, they can accept it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold it to your mouth.
But as we know that parents and work. But the parents are working. Like just saying that we should inculcate these habits. How do we go about this? Because both the parents are working. And we can't say that okay, one should stay back at home. They are promoting women also to work. How do we come about this address the problem? Like, that this should be happening. What reforms society or what reforms in the culture would be that parents can spend more time with their children working also.
Well, I don't think this is a problem without any solution. I first want to request the parents that you go for your work. It's nothing wrong with working and all, but don't ignore your children. Divide your time between your work and your family. A certain amount of time must be spent with the family. Certain amount of time, everybody must have ambition to get promotions and go to a good job, powerful job. That's okay with the thing and all. But first thing is, at least forget it if you have not learned these values when you are young. You can always learn it later also. There is no age limit for learning these values and everything. And as you grow, your access to knowledge or information is much more. You can always get knowledge from various, what you read from the newspaper, you can say, this is right or wrong. If it is right, I'll follow it. If it's wrong, I will not follow it. So you can choose the thing. But unfortunately, when greed gets in first, it's extremely difficult to view it in a positive manner. You always look at it from the point of view, how can I become rich, more rich and more rich? So that attitude should be kept aside. Don't allow this disease of greed to get into your system. Then inculcate contentment. You say, okay, I have not got it, fair enough, I'll try again. If I don't get it, okay, it's my luck. Have that attitude. And when you inculcate it, make it a point to have it with your children. Talk to them, give them examples of it. Every religion has its own examples in regard to contentment. I don't think there's a religion which says don't be content, or it says no, become greedy. I don't think there is such religion is there. So everything is left to ourselves. First, we decide what I should become. Try to become what you want to become, but legitimately. And at that stage, temptation should be kept. I also got offers of enough money to make what I can add at least another 4, 5 zeros to my income with the thing. And no. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not boasting. As I mentioned, I named 3 chief ministers, 8 ministers, and more than 150 officers, not Tahsildars, police constables. All IPS officers, IAS officers, and such like also. And therefore, if there is something wrong in me, by now they would have been exposed in the streets. But nothing could be done. I have had my share of threats also. And I have been given security. I said, I don't want security. I said, I believe in the concept of Kesara, Sara, whatever will be, will be. The future is not ours to see. Mrs. Gandhi was killed by the security people. John F. Kennedy was killed over 200 meters away from where he was with all the security. So, security is an adambara. So, I didn't take that. I didn't go for another job. If I were to please grease the hands of these people in power, I would have been another job. So it is possible with all the temptations around you, choose the right path. And when you feel content, take it from me, you're the happiest person.
How do you encourage more women pursuing law?
Well, today, if you see the National Law School admission list of people, I think there are more women, girls than the boys in the National Law School. You are quite capable of competing with anybody, not alone in the field of academics or other professions like doctors, even in the armed forces. The women are fighting in the border area. Recently, I saw a picture of the Prime Minister with the women soldiers in that area. So don't consider yourself that you're in any way weaker than a male contemporary of yours. I have not seen a longer Prime Minister than the woman Prime Minister. So you can't compare that particular thing. This thing, I suppose one day women will take over. That's the way the life is. The cycle keeps coming around, it comes down and goes up also.
Yes, madam.
The girl start with that. Next is yours. Good.
I just had one question. Takes a very long time to deliver justice. And in such cases, culprits are very, very not present at their place, probably during the peak of their lifetime. So how do we resolve this problem? If we have justice delivered quickly, then maybe that would be a deterrent for people to.
Definitely. Yeah. This is not a system which is all over India, this system that we have. We have followed the British system, but then British population is much smaller than India. So they don't have the problem that we have. I'm not talking about the corruption part of it. I'm only talking about the process, the procedural part of it. And all. United States has only 2 appeals. One trial, 1 appeal only. Nothing more for that. American state courts, the superior courts or the Supreme Court of America do not hear any matters. They are not allowed. Similarly, if in India also there is 1 court and one next court to see that, oh, he's a human being judge, so let's have a second opinion, it's okay. But we have a 3rd court, a 4th court, a High Court, a Supreme Court. This has prolonged the litigation to such an extent. Today, I have documents to show cases over 50 years are pending. The people are acquitted after 30, 35 years in jail, they are acquitted later. So look at the injustice that is being done. Why are we not bothered? See, ultimately, what is this? Oh, he may make a mistake. The upper court also might have made a mistake. The High Court can also make a mistake. Supreme Court is the best. The Supreme Court is handled not by gods, but judges, human beings. How do you know that he won't make a mistake? So it is all our perception. Have 1 court like in the United States. And any speculative litigation that goes up to the first court fails there, they're heavily fined. So people don't speculate on appeals. We have to have the system, but very difficult because people of my profession, they are settled in one trial court area. In appeal court, a different set of lawyers. In first appeal court, different set of lawyers. In the High Court, different set of lawyers. Supreme Court, different set of lawyers. So if you abolish the in-between court, then they become unemployed. But bad luck, they have to be unemployed. Because they can't be employed at the cost of a litigant. So that's the only way out. There are ways, madam, we have unnecessarily created fora after fora to help a particular profession.
Using that
Prefix,
prefix.
yeah.
Now we have all higher.
Yeah, it's the that's the only exception. The other exception, because the concept is this: in a democracy, there can't be a title to a person. Nobody can have a title, including the Maharajas. That's why under Article 18 of the Constitution of India, all the titles given by Sir, Ra Bahadur, Diwan Bahadur, everything was abolished. So when having abolished that, why do you give Bharat Ratna, Bharat Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, such like things is the question. So the only way out to protect those people who already got it was, okay, you can't use it before the name. But I do see name plates outside the house, Padma Shri, so and so, Padma Shri, this and that and all. And even sirs, the doctors, I know, at least I read in the papers, in an egg dealer in Mandya, who has now not gone to first class, also got a doctorate from a university and all. So it is everybody, this is a normal thing. Now they purchase it. I'm told from 25,000, it's come to 5,000 now. Yes, miss. I hear others.
Yes, madam.
Good evening, sir. My name is. My question is, I have two questions. First one is that eradication of corruption, it will improve saving time of Indian population. You know that there is a huge gap in poor. And second question is, though we know that judiciary system in India is independent, but again, all of us, somewhere we know that it has an influence from power center. So I want to ask that how this involvement of central power it has changed over the years, and what do you think that also we know that there were many scams, corruption scams in last UPA government, and more scams as compared to the present government. So we want to know that has there been like present parties corrupted, but it has not come under coming public domain? Is it so? Just want to like if.
First question, I can tell you, you can never eradicate corruption. It is, according to me, the creator has created honesty and dishonesty and left it to the people to choose which you want to work. At the same time, he created the attitude of the society to condemn people who took the wrong role. So reduction is very much possible because it was not this degree when about 50 years back, 60 years back and earlier. It was not so much. Corruption has increased from 50s, at least in India I'm talking about, 50s, 60s, 70s, every year it has gone on multiplying by adding 1 or 2 zeros every year to that figure. I told you 52 lakhs in 50s, 2,000 lakhs in 2000. Look at the growth. Whereas the economic growth of the country was not so much. There was growth, but without this greed, I think growth would have been multiple times and you would not have seen the gap between the rich and the poor to that extent. Billionaires, trillionaires, paupers. Look at the gap between the two. It's all because of the social thinking. Let us eradicate the thought of the society that the rich and the powerful should be recognized. No, they should be boycotted. It is the boycott which is the best punishment, which doesn't require a court of law. It is not contrary to the constitution or any other law of the country. All you are saying, I have nothing to do with you. I won't salam you. That is the social thinking. When the majority of the people say, I don't want to talk to you, I have nothing to do with you, I think at least it's the greatest punishment you can impose on somebody else.
Second question, at how like not in government, I would say that influence, we know that there is influence like high.
Look, madam, if the social thinking is to become rich is the greatest success in life, then what is that you can do? We have to change that. That's the only way out. As I told you, do not recognize people as superior people merely because they're rich and powerful. Go by their acts, how they made their money. We have laws against everything, but how many laws are operated? How many people I have named in my report have gone to jail except one chief minister and maybe one minister? How many have gone to jail? Nobody's gone to jail. It is increasing every day. It is not decreasing. That's my complaint. 50s, it was not so much. Let there be corruption, but let's contain it to a level that it doesn't affect our economy. That's all.
I think last question I have here, sir.
Go ahead.
Is there any kind of compilation of your experiences dealing with the corruption issues, the excerpts of which the future generation can use as an inspiration by Elizabeth Cherian?
No, there is no such compilation. There will be no such biography. I've not given anything in writing to anybody to publish it. I don't want anybody to name a road after me and the dogs spittle over it and all. So I'm not interested in posterity recognizing me. I'm just interested in the present to see that they can understand my appeal to you all, why I'm doing it, not for myself. My days are numbered. I'm only doing it. I want your future, your children's and grandchildren's future to be better. That's why I'm here. And I don't want my name to be etched in anything. When I'm gone, I'm just gone.
Yes, sir. I have one or two comments. Then I'll ask last question before I conclude. I think corruption is there in all professions. There's no question about it. I was in USA running the highest earning doctor, highest earning doctor, $250,000. I came at 1,200 rupees salary, worked in the corporation for 2 years. And they say he's not working in the corporation 6 months, they didn't pay at all. Central government money came, they sent it back, he's not working here. Lakshman Rao was the administrator at that time. But anyway, these are all the issues. When we built the hospital, the basic principle we had it, sir. Number one, nobody should ever be refused seeing in the hospital without money. First, you have to take care of it. Later on, you transfer somebody to deal, depending on the situation. Don't question the money at that time. Number two, no dead body ever should be kept without payment of that. I think one of the example, these are all people had 1 month stay there, they died and big bill was there. And the resident asked RMO, send them home, let them come settle later on. So would you believe later on, after 1 week, they came back with the bill and a bouquet of flowers, fruits and all this thing, thanking letter. These are all the values of the human values. Okay, healthcare system. So there are different ways and all this thing. And also, as a doctor, sometimes we have to lie, sir. White lie. We have to do it. So here it what happened, there is this person living in say, UK, 24-year-old boy now, he got a son also. He wanted to commit suicide because he is not asthmatic, severe variety. Father and mother were discussing the night because of him, my holidays have gone, so making and all those things. This I heard. He wanted to commit suicide. He did something and abdicated there. He saved his life. Then, as a law, I had to inform to the police.
Abatement is suicide.
Yes, commitment of suicide. And this I told them, and the report has been made. Then the question comes here, I talk to him, this is what it happened, I have to report. Please, please come there, your father and mother are responsible, that will go to court, this is all going to happen. But it will never happen in future. To be able to help them, parents care and all this thing. Then I have to change the accidental business. It's the white lie I did it. I think to save the life, because it's not hurt the community in any way, but to save the family, and also he never committed anything like that. No, he's so successful. He is in Cambridge in London. One of my friends, Peter, David Price is there. He's taking care of his serious health problem. Even if you write to the secretary, tells write to his son, he has written your friend, can I take this medicine? This is the trust we have developed. This we have values in our profession, we have to include. Another experience I quote, sir. Corporate hospital, laboratory, everything has come there. Our hospital Lakeside was there. They called me in the golf club, one of the dinner. We're all having dinner. There, one of the corporate laboratory chief says, we spend millions of dollars, taking so much of interest we're paying. Many people don't know. We have to create patients. So this is the American law was there. You have to create the patient. Oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, you do this, you do this thing. So I said on that day I walked up, I don't want to become a patient. Didn't have anything like that. I kept away with that. These are all certain values, still is existent and all the things. Anyway, in this situation, sir, and also patient is dying, we are going to lie. So because infusing courage in the patient, nothing going to happen, you are going to sort of fight. We tell sir, but you know he's going to die.
Yeah.
Next day, the people who are in the outside, even though we tell them, the relatives not doing anything, they are going to fight. We know he's going to die, but they are not going to die. Fight. Because certain hormones will be produced in the brain. It is healing process. That helps a great. So we lie that one. These are all white lies and medical profession. Hope you accept it, sir.
No, certainly. For one, I'll just put an add to what he has said about white lies. Supposing a child, the deformation comes in, am I handsome? Please say, no, you're ugly. It may be the truth, but truth has a limitation. No, you don't say that. So long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, on the contrary, makes that person happy, I will say 1,000 lies. There's nothing wrong with that. So long as it doesn't cheat anybody, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody. If it pleases or hurt, make him happy, do say it.
Yes, this suicide as the inventory is becoming more and more. Now, in that situation, can we change the laws, or instead of punishing them again, is there any way we can take that law out, helping the family?
According to me, that is section 309 of the Indian Penal Code is the most ridiculous section. That is only section in the entire code where punishment is given to an unsuccessful attempt. If he dies, you can't punish him. But if he doesn't die, attempt to suicide is an offense. Or abetment to suicide is an offense. What? I don't know why they have not changed it. And my voice doesn't reach that far. It may be a discouragement for the people not to attempt even to commit suicide. But if the attempt is successful, you are punished. Whereas you take murder, both successful and unsuccessful attempts are punishable.
Sir, we sincerely thank you very much for your commitment for the society, for a cause. Okay, this is the professor and head of the department, Pediatric Ramaya Medical College, my student, Somshekhar. Yeah, you want to?
Sir, about medical education, just a promising word that thanks for the inspiring words, sir. From our side, like medical education, 3 decades back, it was more of moral and the education. Later, it came with the technology. Now, what I'm recent curriculum, it is added with ethics, sir. That is a promising one, and it's going on. It has been implemented.
Very good, very good. Because without ethics, there can be no profession, successful profession.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
One more shocking this about we are talking about suicide. Just to tell about, because all the dollars are sitting, they can reach to the adolescent. 22,000 adolescents have committed suicide in this year. That's bad. Maybe you can speak or reach out. It's not doctors are required. Anybody can reach out, speak to them. He'll come on. The same just
Very good.
And thanks from our academy itself for inspiring us. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this was mentioned about the ethics before you come in here. And also we learned a great deal, sir, values. Two things what you said, we cannot forget it. Contentment and human values we inculcate in our way of life. I think we learn from the family as we grow, sir. With this one, we can successfully manage ourselves. And once again, thank you very much. On behalf of the DCCC Climate Change, a small token of appreciation. We
Not
have
bribe,
it,
huh?
sir.
I hope it's not bribe.
So, Professor Srinivasan to.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So now we have with us the professor at the department from the KIMS Medical College. He is the secretary of the Commonwealth Association. And we welcome Dr. Madhu. Please give the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Just to correct you, sir, I'm not the head of the department.
Professor, okay.
Professor, sir, it was really a very enlightening and heart-touching episodes by you, sir. We are really honored with your presence here, and we would like to take your words from this place. Everyone, all of us are a part of this system where corruption is inculcated in our genes, probably with our history, the present, and also with our future. Of course, as sir told, we should think we are blessed compared to thousands and lakhs in this world. Blessed in what ways? In many ways, not in one or two. We are not disabled. We can still perform in our profession, in our future. So let us avoid shortcuts. Shortcuts for success. I think that should be the one which we should carry from this place with all the incidences, quotes, what sir has told us. And with this, let us make one commitment to ourselves. Let us not be bad examples to the society, if not good ones. Sir, with your lessons, we also try to inculcate some moral lessons to our future population or the citizens of the nation. And we promise you that we practice ethics in our future, let it be profession, social, or personal futures. Let us carry some positive notes from this place with positive future to this country and to the world. So thank you, sir. Thank you for being here, for your good words and with good positive messages what we are carrying for the day and for also for the future, sir. We thank our speaker, Justice Santosh Hegde, sir, for all his time which he has given today to us and also to the listeners all over are also thanking you for the same, sir. So we thank you very much on behalf of Divecha, on behalf of IISC, on behalf of ComHad. We thank you and I would like to wind off this session for the day. And any questions, it can be forwarded through Parmesh, sir, for your answers. Thank you. Thank you.
We have a group photo. Please, all of you come. And we have a guest from Australia also. Come, sir, join us. He has come from Australia.
Is it okay to post?
Okay, level is right. Yes, sir.